Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and indeed, good night, wherever you are around the Magic the Gathering world. Welcome to Rotterdam. It is 10 o'clock in the morning here, and you are so welcome to our coverage over the next 3 days of the World Magic Cup. I'm your host, Rich Hagan, alongside the Pro Tour historian, Mr. Brian David Marshall, and welcoming Pro Tour champion from San Diego 2010, Mr. Simon Gertzen. Simon, let's start with you. So many great teams, two great formats to look at. What are you most looking forward to here with us at the World Magic Cup?
It's a super diverse field today and the whole weekend. Team Italy is here to defend the crown, defend the title. Andrea Mingucci is the only person that's returning from last year, but he knows how to win this tournament, and I'm looking forward to Italy's performance this week.
Okay, so a defending champion for Simon. BDM, how about you?
You know, it's a little less direct, but it also goes back to a team that's already won this tournament. Simon Nielsen, when he played for Denmark 2 years ago to win the World Magic Cup, he had not played on the Pro Tour yet. And what I look forward to out of this tournament is just always seeing what the new wave of international Magic players are going to be, where they're going to come from, what the next big Magic powerhouses are going to be, and it may still very well be Denmark. But there's always some new teams. We haven't seen a repeat champion yet. So I'm curious to see what that next team and who those new players are going to be.
Well, Italy and Denmark are just two of 73 teams that have made their way here to the Vanilla Fabriek here in the Netherlands. Why don't we meet the other 71? Here comes Meet the Teams. It's time to meet the teams here at the World Magic Cup. Me, your host, Rich Hagan. Let's get to it because we've got 73 teams to get to. We'll begin over here with Argentina. Luis Salvato, the winner of Grand Prix Rotterdam, one of 3 national champions who won the GP. On the far side, it's Team Australia. David Mines, the winner of Grand Prix Melbourne 2016. He's the captain for them. Now, our next pair, this is Austria. You've got Oliver Polak-Rotman on the right there, second seat. On opposite him, Valentin Makler with his 6 Grand Prix top 8s. On the far side of them, it's Belarus. That's Pavel Miedzweski playing in multiple World Magic Cups. Table 3 then. This gentleman here in the red jacket, that's David Sologuren. He is the Bolivian national champion. But on the far side, one of the big favourites for this tournament, it's Belgian. On the right-hand side, you've got Peter and Pascal Viren, the 2 brothers, and then Branko Neyrink and Jerome Baston. Belgium looks like a really, really good team this year. Here's table 4. Who have we got here? Well, it's Bulgaria at this end, led by Christian Ivanov. No day 2s for Bulgaria yet, but on the far side, 2 very big names. You see on the very far side, Thiago Saporito of Brazil, and on this side you recognise Hall of Famer Paula Vita Dama de Rosa. Let's swing round, and here we are at table 5. This is Canada and Chile. These are the Chileans. Here, Rodrigo Lopez. They've got 2 top 32s, but on the far side, again, one of the big favourites for this tournament. You see Alexander Hayne and Jacob Wilson on the left, Brian Sue and Felix Shea on the right. Canada don't have a great record in this tournament, though. That's the only thing, but they do have a great team again. Now, this is an interesting regional clash. Here, you've got the Chinese team. 75 Grand Prix starts between the 4 of them. On the far side of them, it's Chinese Taipei. On the right-hand side, you can see in his MTG mint card, Huang Haoshan. He's the captain, got tons of Pro Tour experience. But Han Chin Yao also has 18 lifetime Pro points. So back we go. So we've got Colombia now and Costa Rica. This is Team Costa Rica here. There you are, getting deep into their build. And on the far side, the yellow, red and blue of Colombia. Swing round with me, Jack, and let's head over here to table 8. It's Croatia here, and they are led by Vjeran Horvat. He's a Grand Prix champion. They were in the top 8 in 2012. And then this is the Cypriot team. This gentleman here is Daniel Antonio. He's the captain of Team Cyprus. He's been in every single World Magic Cup, and he is their all-time pro point leader. So, over to your left, Jack. Here we go. This is table 9, and 2 very big powerhouse European teams. Nearest us, we've got the Czech Republic. This is Lucas Blahon, of course, from the World World Championship, one of the great pros in the modern game. And then on the far side, and looking on the far table, you can see Martin Muller and Simon Nielsen. Now, both of those are World Magic Cup champions from 2014 in Nice, the great Dane Blast moment, of course, for them. So now on we go. Who have we got next? Well, it's the Dominican Republic and Ecuador. This is the Ecuadorian team here. Jaime Fior, 3 Grand Prix top 8s to his name. On the far side, one of the most inexperienced teams. This is the Dominican Republic side, and the Dominican Republic, first time at the World Magic Cup for them, no Pro Tour experience, so they are having a great weekend here at the World Magic Cup. All right, here we go. Now this, of course, is Team England. Eduardo Sajglit, Graham McIntyre there. Here are the guys, all in their matching tweed jackets and flat caps. Great to see them in something approaching national dress. And then this is a great story. Just here on my left is Team El Salvador. Now, teams are meant to be 4 or 3 playing in every round. Unfortunately, only 2 of them made it here, so they will play every round, and their 3rd seat will be a match loss every round. Can they make it into day 2? What a great story that would be for the 2 representatives of El Salvador. And then finally, for this segment, here is table 12. It's Estonia and Finland. The Estonians here, led by Hannes Kerem, 2008 world champion top 8. There he is getting a little mention there on camera. And at the far end, it's the Flying Finns. Laurie Pipsa is leading there. Now, just before we go on, I'm going to bring you all the way around here because I'm going to hide from you. Just take a look over here. This is table 37 because it's all laid out in 12s, 12, 24, 36. This is table 37. This is Team Wales. And looking on the left there, you've got your national captain, Ben Jones. He's just 18, and that is Wales for you. So that's tables 1 to 12. On we go then. Let's go to our middle section of tables. And you can see Marshall Sutcliffe and Brian David Marshall here. It's no surprise that they're railing over here because there are 2 very powerful European teams to kick off this segment for us. Here we have Team Germany. This is Patrick Dickmann on the left, sitting alongside Mark Tobias. They're probably the 2 most experienced of the Germans. On the far side, again, one of the big favourites for the World Magic Cup. So you've got Hall of Famer Rafael Levy, already a World Magic Cup winning captain. On the far side, in the Harry Yuya shirt, Pro Tour Theros champion and former Player of the Year, Jeremy Desani. And then you've got Guillaume Perbe and Kevin Savignon as the rest of the French team. They're really, really good. So we move on. Now here's Greece. Talking of finalists, Bill Chronopoulos and the team. They were in the final in 2014, just missed out to the Dane Blast. And what a great set of outfits here from Team Guatemala. Christopher Varula and the team, they made it all the way to the top 8 last year, which is a phenomenal achievement for a small Magic nation. So on we go, and we get to Hong Kong and Hungary. Now here is Li Shi Chan, one of the great players in this event. He's captaining. He doesn't have a ton of experience behind him though. 300 lifetime pro points and 5 Pro Tour top 8s for him. Here are the Hungarians, led by Akos Kenyeres. They were in the final in 2013. So on we go. Let's take a look at Iceland and Indonesia. So you're looking at Indonesia there. There's the team. Christian Wijaya is the leader for them. They're looking to make their first day 2. And then over here we've got Team Iceland, led by the man on the right here, Einar August Baldvinsson. Iceland, who had a tremendous run in the first WMC to get all the way to the top 8. So on we go. Here's Team Ireland. Welcome guys. They're busy building, as they all are. About 3/4 of an hour left in build. And behind them it's Team Israel. Now this is a real mix because you've got on your right here Shahar Shenhar, the 2-time World Magic the Gathering champion. The other 3 team members, no Pro Tours, no World Magic Cups, no Grand Prix. So it is Shahar trying to muster his troops to get through the rest of this tournament. Going to be really great to see how they do. Now, on your right, could this be a preview of the final? 2 teams, just amazing teams. First of all, it's Team Japan. 2 Hall of Famers. On the left, Shota Yasuoka in the Harry Yuya shirt, and just in front of you now, Jack, is Kenji Samura with his 6 Pro Tour top 8s. Toru Takashita also has a Grand Prix top 8. This is Team Italy, the defending world champions. You've got Andrea Mengucci here, Andrea Casamenti, Mattia Rizzi with his 3 Grand Prix top 8s, and this gentleman on your left is Alessandro Portaro. He was in the top 8 of the first ever modern Pro Tour. That was 2011 in Philadelphia. So on we go. Conveniently, you can tell that this is Vidugiris, this is Godenis for Lithuania, and he's been in every World Magic Cup so far. And then on the far side, well, that's Team Latvia, and you've got Andres Prost, who's also very much a regular team captain at this event. Now, neither of those teams necessarily expected to get as far as Sunday, but that's all part of the fun here at the World Magic Cup. So on we go. Who have we got next? Well, on your right there, this is Team Macedonia. Miro Popov leads this team. They made the top 32 last year. And in the light blue shirts, this is Team Luxembourg. You see on the right there, that is Steve Hatto, who now has 3 Grand Prix top 8s. Hi, Steve. Great job by Team Luxembourg. So on we go. We get to Malaysia and Malta. This is Team Malaysia right here. Super experienced. Every single one of those 4 players there have at least 14 Grand Prix starts. And then on the far side, it's Luke Vassallo leading Team Malta. So that's there. We're going to head round and look at this. This is Team Mexico. Of course it is. 3 of 4 times they've made the day 2 at the World Magic Cup. Marcelino Freeman is in his 4th WMC. And this is the Netherlands. We've got Tiemann Blankenvoort there. This is Thomas Hendricks, pro of course. Mitch Manders is a Grand Prix winner. The Dutch look like they've got a very strong team. So on we go. This is the Northern Irish squad. Northern Ireland led by Stephen Madden. They haven't got a day 2 yet. That's what they'll be trying to accomplish. But you know what? This team over here, this is New Zealand, and they look really good. This is Jason Chung right here, who has best part of 160 lifetime pro points, and Matthew Rogers and Zen Takahashi, they have 100 lifetime pro points between the 2 of them. They are very, very good. Here's Team Norway. Eric Skinstad leads the way for them, and on the far side it's Panama, Saul Alvarado. He's been playing at World's team events forever. He's one of the most experienced players in the world. So we're going well. On we go to our final set of 12 tables, 24 more teams to bring you. If we haven't seen your country yet, we're just about to, and that means we're going to start with Peru. I can tell it's Peru. It says so on the table. So here they are. The 3rd WMC start for Jose Raul Viada Gallegos. That's the captain. Hopefully I got that name close to right. And here's Paraguay. The top 16 last year, Eduardo Filippi leads that team. Now, the gentleman on the right here is Mike Rohn. He is a Pro Tour champion from 2007 in Geneva, captain of Team Philippines, and this, amongst the Europeans, this is the Polish flag right here, and I've got to tell you, I think Poland are in with a great shout of doing very, very well this weekend. We've got Gregor Kowalski, Piotr Glogowski amongst the team there, Maciej Janik as well. I think they're really, really good. On we go. Here's someone you'll recognize, Marcio Carvalho, the finalist from the World Championship. He's captaining Team Portugal, of course. And on the far side, it's Team Puerto Rico. Now, you may remember them from your WMC history, the finalists from 2012. And Gabriel Nieves is back. He's been in every WMC. He will captain Puerto Rico. On we go. So who do we have here? Well, it's Romania and the Russian Federation. So here are the Romanians building their decks. Cyprian Katana leads them. He's played in 29 Grand Prix. And here's the Russian Federation led by Sergei Suchalski with his 3 Grand Prix top 8s. Now, very few teams can boast a record of having made day 2 at every WMC. One of them is right here. It's Team Scotland, led by Stephen Murray, the all-time pro point leader for Scotland. Great to see them here again, and hopefully they'll get at least as far as day 2 once again. This is the Serbian team, led by Alexa Telerov. Alexa been here many times before, and Miodrag Kitanovic, he's in his 3rd WMC. So next, it's Team Singapore. On the left here, this is Team Singapore, led by Kelvin Chu. He has a top 8 from Pro Tour return to Ravnica in 2012. And then these guys here on the right, Jack. Now, this is Team Slovakia. Incredible experience. You've got Matej Big Z Zatlkai. He is a Pro Tour finalist. You've got Patrick Surab, 2010 Team World Champion. You've got Ivan Flock, a Pro Tour champion, and again, a Team World Champion. And finally, Milan Niznansky. He's the fourth member of that team. You know, I think they are maybe the favorites for this event. That is Team Slovakia. As far as you can be a favorite in a thing with 73 teams and an incredible array of events and rounds to get through. So on we go, and now we're up to Slovenia, the near neighbours of Slovakia. There's Robin Dola on the left with the glasses. He is a Grand Prix champion from Boston Worcester in 2014. He leads them. And now this is Team South Africa. Sinan Effendi playing in his third WMC. So they're busy building their decks with 40 minutes to go in deck building. Now, how about Spain? Javier Dominguez here is the all-time pro point leader for Spain, and he captains their side. And then on the far side of them, you've got the South Koreans. I think this is a pretty decent side. Their captain, Park Jun-young, he has the chance to become the all-time pro point leader for South Korea by getting over the 100 mark this weekend. So back we go. Where have we got here? Let's take a look at Team Sweden. You'll all recognise the mighty Joel Larsson. He's captaining the side. Watch out for Per Nystrom as well. He has a lot of experience, over 60 lifetime pro points. And then a decent team on the far end. Here's Team Switzerland. On the right here, we've got Andreas Gantz. Now, he's been around forever, and this season been a real breakthrough for him. A Grand Prix winner at Grand Prix Charlotte. So next up, round we go, and let's take a look at this group. It's Thailand and Turkey. You're looking at the Turks there. Kana Aktas leads this team, and then Thailand. Well, what a Cinderella story they were last year, getting all the way to the final. And the captain for this team right now is Akarash Sorakap. So good luck to Thailand. Can they possibly get all the way to the final again? We're almost done. 4 more teams to bring you. And over there, let's see, who have we got? It's Team Ukraine. Sergei Soshalsky leads the way for them. On we go. Let's take a look. Here we are. It's Team USA. So there is your 2-time Player of the Year, Owen Turtenwald. The rest of the team, Paul Yeam, Lee Marino, Kevin Jones. Can they go the distance? Owen already captained the US to a top 8 before. Can he go again? Let's see. And we're almost there. Who have we got? It's Team Venezuela in the matching football shirts. This is Daniel Fior with his 75 lifetime pro points, playing in his 4th WMC. And last but most certainly not least, it is Team Uruguay. Here they are, and that is the 2nd WMC for Nicolas Righetti. 73 teams, close to 300 players. It's time for the World Magic Cup 2016.
I am here with Paulo Vitor Damarosa, the team captain from Brazil. Welcome, Paulo.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the news desk. Rich alongside BDM and Simon Gertzen. We are around about 5 minutes away from live action in round one. We have a great feature match for you. Two real powerhouse nations. More of that in a little bit. But we only do this show once a year. It's not like a regular Pro Tour. There are going to be plenty of people, boys and girls at home, who haven't seen a World Magic Cup before. And the structure's a little bit unusual, to put it mildly. So why don't we walk you through what's coming your way over the next 3 days. So let's start off with today. It is Friday, it's day one. Let's show you what is coming your way on day one. Let's put it up for you, full screen. There it is. BDM, walk us through today.
Well, we're starting right now. Players have been building their team seal decks. 12 Kaladesh boosters, got to get divided up into 3 sets of cards, which are going to form limited legal decks, 40 card minimum decks. Every card not used has to be in a sideboard, and players are going to play 3 rounds of team sealed. So player A plays player A from another team, player B plays player B, and if you win 2 of the 3 matches, or 1 and no completion in other matches, but the majority of the matches in the round, you win the round.
Okay, so then, Simon, we move on to Team Unified Modern. Team Easy, Modern, that's everything from the modern card frame forwards. What's this unified thing?
The most important rule is that every single non-basic land card that you play, for example Lightning Bolt, can only appear in exactly 1 deck. That means if you are playing Jund with Lightning Bolt, no other player will have a Lightning Bolt in their deck or sideboard.
Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, Saturday, this is where things get super fun, super interesting. BDM, let's walk our way through the start of Saturday, because you are going to want to set your alarm if you're in Europe and it's in the morning for you.
Yeah, 48 teams advance to day 2. The top 16 teams, they can just sort of sit back and watch the carnage. They're all set. We're going to have 8 pods, pools of 6 players. The top 2 teams in each pool, they do not have to play round 1. The other 32 teams are going to play a single elimination match to start Saturday. If you lose, well, you know what? Head off to the Marked Hall and do your sightseeing. You're done. You're out of the tournament. So the other 16 teams will now sort of slot into that pool play, and then we'll have 3 rounds of pool play, and that's going to be sort of a modified double elimination, a little different than what we've seen in pool play in the past.
So, Simon, just explain this idea of if we've got 3 rounds of pool play, what gets you through, what kicks you out?
So it's a double elimination, which means once a team loses 2 rounds, they are out. That's what you have to prevent. But ultimately, if you only lose 1 but you win 2 rounds, then you're through. So we can very easily see, once you reach 2 wins, you have made it. You
just don't play.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't even play the 3rd round. If you lose 2, you're out.
Right, so what that means is that when we get to round 11, there are going to be a group of teams, the top seeds, the 2 and 0s, already through. They're going to be straight in. And then you're going to have all the 1 and 1s going up against each other in 8 elimination matches. Let's get back to the structure. BDM, we're now down to 16 teams. What happens next on Saturday afternoon?
So now we get 4 pools of 4 teams. And again, it's the same format. If you lose twice, you're eliminated. If you win twice, you are through to the top 8. So we're going to have teams going into the top 8, locked in round 13, and then every match in round 14 is going to be either, pretty binary. You're either in the top 8 or you're done with your tournament.
All right, so let's head to Sunday then. And this is going to be a little different in terms of how we present it to you. You'll be used to us seeing 2 quarterfinals together, then 2 more. On Sunday, you will see every round as it happens in order. You'll see all 4 quarterfinals. Simon, walk us through the schedule for Sunday.
Yes, that's the traditional bracket that has single elimination of 8 teams, so we play 3 rounds and determine the winner of the World Magic Cup.
Yep, so you will see 7 complete matches on Sunday. Who's going to be there? Well, we get 2 days to find out. Now, what are we playing for, BDM? Because, yes, there's a ton of national pride. Of course, as the historian, there's a ton of Magic history. There's also some cold, hard cash.
Well, yeah, it's $12,000 per player on the winning team. It goes down to $2,000 per player for the top 8 per player. But you know what? There's pro points, which are super valuable. And for the top 8, there's Pro Tour invites to the next Pro Tour. And those, for some countries that do not have as many RPTQs as you might see, or as many Grand Prix as we're lucky enough to get in the United States or in parts of Europe. This is huge. Again, Simon Nielsen, would not necessarily be on the Pro Tour without that Pro Tour invite that he got from winning the World Magic Cup. Martin Mueller's like, I don't know that if I would have been able to dedicate myself to Magic if I hadn't won that $12,000 for the World Magic Cup. He was just getting his pro career started and was able to say, I'm going to be a professional Magic player. It's every aspect of the payout on Sunday is huge to me.
Right, and this is an event where there is so much fun. People are in national dress, people are in matching outfits, people are thrilled to be here, but also have that in the back of your mind. $12,000, maybe on the turn of a card. A Rakdos return for France against Hungary. A Dane blast for the Danes in 2014. $12,000 for you on the turn of a card. It's big stuff here at the World Magic Cup for sure. Now, why don't we take a look? We're all players getting ready in the feature match area. We're going to head down there in just a couple of minutes. I can tell you who you're going to see. It is Japan with their two Hall of Famers, Kenji Samura and Shota Yasuoka, up against Portugal with the world champion finalist, Marcio Carvalho. Japan, Portugal is where we're going to start.
Marcio, who just won Grand Prix Rotterdam last weekend in this team sealed format.
Right, alongside Luis Salvato of Argentina, the captain for them, and Javier Dominguez, the Spanish captain.
Yeah.
Why don't we take a look at some of the big teams that are here? Well, let's start with Japan. Because we've already mentioned the two Hall of Famers. There they are, Shota Yasuoka, the captain, and Kenji Samura. BDM, this is an amazing team, but Simon, I want to ask you, how important is it for a team to have three excellent players, or can the two Hall of Famers carry the rest of the team?
It's actually not so clear because you need to play 3 matches each round, and the big question is who plays that third match, right? Is it the third and the fourth player collaborating? Is it more of somebody plays, but you have some Hall of Famers next to you that have an eye on what you're doing that you can refer to when it comes to mulligans? And depending on the composition of each team, we'll see different strategies.
Right, and BDM, we should point out how it works in terms of if you don't play this morning, what happens to you then in the afternoon?
Yeah, then you need to play. One of the players who played this morning needs to sit in the coaching seat, and then you get to play in the modern rounds. It should be noted at Grand Prix Rotterdam last weekend, Shota Yasuoka got super aggressive decks in their cards, in their seal pools. He was playing cards like Night Market Lookout because he already plays fast when he's playing a control deck, playing very fast aggro decks, I think, so that he was able to communicate with his teammates. I wonder if we'll see the same thing here with Kento Arita and Toru Takeshita, not having maybe as much experience as these two Hall of Famers, titans of the game.
Simon, you saw this at the Grand Prix last weekend as well. We saw Paulo Vitor Dama da Rosa with Brazil. All his decks were super aggressive as well in order to get his games finished, and then he could sit with the rest of the team.
Yes, and then, of course, you can go on another level and try to beat the aggressive decks that you expect in the middle seed, right? So it's really a lot of thinking going on.
All right, great stuff. Thank you to Simon. Thanks, BDM. I can tell you the players are ready. It's time to rock and roll. Here comes Team Sealed. It's round 1 of the World Magic Cup.
Hello there, and welcome back to the booth here at the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe with Luis Scott Vargas. And the players have been down there for over an hour building their seal decks, their team seal decks together, divvying up the cards and trying to make those tough last-minute decisions. But those decisions have been made, and now it's the good stuff. We're ready for round number 1 here from the World Magic Cup. Hello and welcome to coverage of the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Luis Scott Vargas, and we're ready for round 1 action here. This is Team Sealed for Kaladesh, and as you can see, being a team tournament, we have 3 different features here, and our main one, this is going to be table B. Our middle table is a big one. You can see Marcio Carvalho there from Portugal. We're going to be watching Portugal versus Japan as far as the teams go. And we're starting off with Marcio versus his opponent here. That's right, Shota Yasuoka. You saw him not that long ago win Pro Tour Kaladesh with about that same expression on his face when he won it. And looks like, as always, he's ready for business. So this is team sealed Kaladesh. Luis, can you kind of break down what went on, right before the round here?
So each team opened 12 boosters and made 3 decks out of it, which you end up with better decks on average than a draft. So usually sealed decks are a little worse than draft decks. This time's your sealed decks I would expect to be better if you opened a decent pool.
All right, well, looks like we're underway here, and it's going to be interesting. I did see some trends, which we'll be talking about as we work our way through the round here. As far as the builds, you and I had a chance to go kind of browse what, most of the countries were doing. There's 72 countries represented here at the World Magic Cup. We got to see what most of them were doing and to get an idea for some of the patterns that you start to see. And one of them is, in fact, the deck that Marcio has started off with here, which is some combination of blue, green, and often red energy. And that's what Marcio is running here.
Yeah, and he's facing off against another pretty classic deck that you'll see over and over again, which is red-white vehicles.
Yes, absolutely. And Yasuoka taking the driver's seat here as he starts to rumble. He's got a nice one here, a Smuggler's Copter, the very powerful rare from Kaladesh to kick things off for Shota. And he's already starting to get that train rolling here. Now on the other side of the table, though, Marcio's had a very nice little curve out as well. Looks like he had a turn 3 Wild Wanderer off of that Servant of the Conduit. And in fact, he's going to use a Hunt the Week right now to take away Shota's ability to block and maybe even crew up a Smuggler's Copter going forward. Also, Aerial Responder, just one of the better uncommons around, especially in white. And Marcio's going to be happy to just get that thing off the board and attack.
Both players with really good starts here.
Yeah.
Turn 3 Wild Wanderer to Hunt the Week against turn 2 Smuggler's Copter plus 2 really high quality uncommons.
That's right. Shota used that loot ability of the Smuggler's Copter to find himself a land drop. He did have to discard a Propeller Pioneer to make it work, but that means that next turn he's going to be ready to go. And wow, another Hunt the Week here for Carvalho. Says, all right, well, Fairgrounds Warden, you had a good run, but you're gone. And now he's even going to garner a little bit of extra value here, Luis, from that Wild Wanderer trigger once again.
Very good answers here from Marcio. He actually looks like he has a Confiscation Coup in hand. So
yeah,
he's ready, well set up for most anything that Shota could play next turn.
Yeah, Marcio's going to be taking the defensive stance in this matchup. Shota with the white-red deck is going to be the aggressor anytime that he can. And he's going to continue the beats here with that Smuggler's Copter in the air. He's going to play a Visionary Augmenter. He's going to use Fabricate to make 2 1/1 servos. One of those is going to crew up the Copter, and he's going to keep that flow of damage going in the air. He's going to knock Marcio down to 11 with this attack.
Yeah, this is great. We're just seeing like haymaker after haymaker, but both players just like their decks are working out exactly as they would want.
Yeah.
And this is what you see in Team Seal. The average card quality here is very high.
Yeah, really interesting. You know, getting that extra island from the Wild Wanderer does unlock the Confiscation Coup that you mentioned, Luis, which could be a really important swing in this game, depending on how Marcio decides to play it. He also drew a Self-Assembler for the turn, and, with his 5 mana available, he can start chaining those together as well if he thinks that he can shore up the ground game in a reasonable way. Clearly, if you're sitting in Marcio's seat, though, that Smuggler's Copter is the card that's really annoying to you right now.
And one of the good defenses vehicles have against removal is that if Marcio does something like Confiscation Coup, the Smuggler's Copter, it's a tapped creature that doesn't even really add an extra blocker because you need to crew it. So
right.
It really does favor the aggressor in this case, and especially given that Shota's looted away multiple lands with the Copter and didn't play a land last turn, Marcio's got to assume that Shota's got a lot of action cards in hand.
Yeah, I mean, Shota's looted into multiple lands. He's been using it just to make sure that he hits his land drops. Look at his graveyard. He has been pretty aggressive about trying to make sure that he finds as many lands as possible, discarding a Propeller Pioneer, and then you can see that Fireweaver was the one he did last turn. Can Shota keep the pressure up? That's the hard part here. It looks like Marcio decided to go for a different 5-drop. He had 3 choices, and he went for the Riparian Tiger here, signaling to me that Marcio thinks that he can win the race. That he can say, you know what, you can hit me with that Copter, but I'm just going to keep smashing you on the ground. Because, one thing that you'll find out is that cards like Visionary Augmenter, even with powerful ability like Fabricate, does not match up well against a 6/6 Trampler very well.
No, and Marcio, barring something like revoked privileges, it assumes he's going to get to attack with the Tiger. He's got Ornamental Courage in hand, so he's setting up, potentially a disaster for Shota if he tries to make too many blocks.
In the meantime, Shota, it looks like he feels like he needs to keep applying pressure in the air and then also digging through his library. He found a Glint Sleeve Artisan. It looks like he's going to discard an additional land this time, though, to the loot effect from that copter.
And Shota also has to decide if Marcio's out of removal spells. Blue-green doesn't have that many options, even with the red splash. So another Fairgrounds Warden could be exactly what Shota needs to lock up the board here.
Take a look at the deck list really quickly here, Luis, and I see that Shota has an Inspired Charge in his pool. Though, honestly, I can't quite tell. He looks like he made a correction on it, whether he was going to play it or not, and it might just be that he didn't.
It looks like he did not.
Yeah, which is the type of card that I start looking for at this point in the game. When Shota's starting to fall behind in a damage race, if he can manage to find a way to just steal a win, and I don't think he has access to it. Right now, he's going to throw a double block, but an Ornamental Courage here for Marcio Carvalho is once again going to give him value. You can see that he lost his Riparian Tiger to that Fairgrounds Warden. Second one that he's played this game.
The Fairgrounds is adequately policed in this particular match.
Certainly is.
Marcio drew a nice one too. Appetite for the Unnatural means that if he wants to, he can pump the brakes on that Smuggler's Copter right now.
And he's going to do that. You can see that Marcio said, okay, look, I put up some good threats that were going to win the race for me. You dealt with them. I am instead going to change gears here. He's got plenty of action in his hand with the self-assembler. Maybe two of them. Yeah, he's got two in his hand, which is a little bit awkward.
Well,
but
they come in pairs.
They do, whether you want them to or not. And then he's also got that Confiscation Coup, which is one of the best rares in the set.
And, Shota did give Marcio a very appealing target for it.
He certainly did. Aetherstorm Rock hit the battlefield for Shota, who actually had very good choices himself as we get a quick look at his hand there. You saw he has a Depala in hand as well. But, yeah, it's going to get stolen by Confiscation Coup, and Marcio snapped that off real quick.
Shota's deck has a lot of rares in it with Depala, Smuggler's Copter, and Aetherstorm Rock all ready to rumble here. But Marcio's, look at Marcio's graveyard. He's playing blue-green. He's not supposed to have that much removal, and he has Hunt the Weak, Appetite, Confiscation Coup.
Yep.
And that's 4 removal spells, and one of them being a very solid 2-for-1 in the form of Confiscation Coup.
Yeah, the assumption would be that Marcio has a better late game than Shota, as Shota is going to be more curve-based. He's going to have a lot more 2-mana spells that are good on turn 2, but get significantly worse later, where you can see Marcio's hand, right now and in prior turns, he had multiple 5-drops in hand that are just going to start to take over the game as we go forward. In the meantime, he keeps applying pressure here as well with the 2 creatures that he's had since the early stages.
Yeah, and that Hunt the Weak counter, hanging out on Servant of the Conduit has been really, really relevant. And, it lets it get by the Fairgrounds Warden, it lets it attack, or let it attack past Visionary Augmenter, and Marcio's getting a lot of mileage out of a card which already did good work by removing one of Shota's threats.
Shota pokes in there for a damage with the Warden. He's facing lethal here, so he's going to have to chump block with that servo and still go to 1. And this is really problematic now for Shota. Whirler Virtuoso. Ooh, was that an Angel of Invention off the top for Shota?
It was. It might be.
Is it enough?
It might be too late. If Shota plays it as a 4/3 flying lifelink, he essentially goes to 5 after he blocks with it. So,
yes.
But he's still. And Marcio can make 2 Thopters, so he can block the Wild Wanderer or the Servant of the Conduit, probably the Servant in this case.
Yes.
Go to 5, then have to put Fairgrounds Warden on, looks like the Wild Wanderer, and go to 1. And, that means Shota isn't dead, but that forced play trades off Angel for a 3/3 and gives back the Riparian Tiger.
Well,
off of the
you're in
Warden.
bad shape, Luis, when you top deck Angel of Invention, and it might not be enough.
Yeah, Marcio has one of the best cards in the format there, Whirler Virtuoso, which, watching the teams build, I saw a lot of Whirler Virtuosos on the table next to a lot of Forests.
Yes.
That is where that card lives.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that in the early stages of today as we work our way through this team sealed portion. The energy decks are going to really be looking for and trying to take advantage of Whirler Virtuoso and the different combos that you can do. Hopefully we get to see some of that on camera. Here, Marcio's playing it much more straightforwardly.
So Shota also has the option to make servos with Fabricate here. So in that case, he would be able to put Angel on the Wild Wanderer, servo chumps the Servant of the Conduit, servo blocks the Whirler Virtuoso, Shota goes up to 3 and then down to 1 from the Thopters. So he gets to keep his Fairground Warden. He actually gets to make an additional block of Fairgrounds Warden on the Whirler Virtuoso. So he gets to go to 2 after blocking 1 of the Thopters. So this is slightly better for Shota, though he isn't gaining ground in this exchange, and Marcio is going to add another card to his board here.
Yeah.
But again, it leaves the Fairgrounds Warden alive this way.
You can take a look at Marcio's hand. He's got a Bomat Bazaar Barge, the pair of self-assemblers we saw before, as well as the Edge Crafters. It looks like Marcio may just be attacking with the Thopters here. Does force a block by Shota, and he gets the Angel of Invention off the table if that is the only attack from Carvalho.
So Marcio concluding that because Fairgrounds Warden blocks Whirler Virtuoso, attacking with the 3/3 and the 3/2 doesn't add that many new dimensions to combat here.
Okay, he's just going to go for a self-assembler. No search. He's already got the other one in his hand. And this is sort of what we were talking about a few minutes ago, where the type of top decks that Shota can have here are significantly worse than the ones that Marcio is going to have.
You know, I haven't seen...
He just drew an Eager Construct.
Yeah, that's not the card you want on turn 7. I haven't seen the Ether Storm Rock Whirler Virtuoso combo assembled before, but it is a nice one.
That works. You know, there's a lot of ways that you can get energy from having creatures into the battlefield, and that is one of the sweetest.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and that does it. Marcio Carvalho is going to end up taking down game 1 from Shota Yasuoka here. He doesn't look super thrilled about it, but he certainly will. You can take a look at our feature match area here as well, as we've got 3 players going. Oh, there's a smile from Marcio. We got a little smile from our World Championship finalist. All right. That is going to do it for that first game. We'll be back after these messages.
Play for your chance to win sweet prizes at the Standard Showdown. Sleeve up your biggest, baddest, most busted deck and throw down at a participating local game store. 4 weeks only, every Saturday from November 26th through December 17th. Find tournaments near you at magic.wizards.com/Standard Showdown.
And welcome back to the feature match area here in Rotterdam. Marshall Sutcliffe with Luis Scott Vargas, bringing you round one coverage of the World Magic Cup. We've got Portugal versus Japan, and we're going to check in on... You can start to get a feel for how powerful this Japanese team is. We just went from Shota Yasuoka. Now we're going to watch Kenji Tsumura. It's like a pair of Hall of Famers sitting next to each other. Kenji is matched up against Luis Gobert. Take a look at Luis here. And we're actually coming into game 2, and we're going to catch the beginning. We had them just pause for us for a moment, and Luis took down the first game.
I like to hear that.
that has a nice ring to it, does it?
I just have never heard it before. Luis Mulligan to 5 is what I'm used to listening to.
At the bottom, yeah. We know. In the meantime, a solid start here for Kenji. He's got a scrap heap Scrounger, which is already attacking. Of course, Kenji, having lost game 1, is on the play as well, so that thing could be responsible for a heck of a lot of damage this game. Let's see how Luis wants to react to this. He's certainly got options. You can see in his hand, he's got an unlicensed Disintegration and a couple of different 3-drops that he can play. It looks like he's going to play his most medium of 3-drops here. He's going to play this Monitor. And it looks like Luis is just going to take the damage here. So he may be trying to set up for a race, which is going to be a tough sell, especially with the addition to the board state here of this Pima Outrider from Kenji Tsumura.
Yeah, it's interesting. Even though Kenji's deck is a little bit more mid-range than Luis's, he did have the initiative with the early Scrap Heap Scrounger and the Pima Outrider, which puts Kenji in a spot where he gets to kind of parlay his aggressive cards into pressure and make it so Luis has to respond, even though that's not really what Luis's deck is built to do.
Right. And interestingly, though, Luis was able there to do a pretty nice job of swinging the tables back in his favor. He used that unlicensed Disintegration to take down the Pima Outrider and then got in for 3 with the Weldfast Monitor as well.
Yeah, damage-wise, that was a good turn, but it was matched by the fact that Kenji got to play 2 spells last turn. He used his mana very efficiently, playing both Die Young and Fracata Pillarbug, which in a game this close is just going to put him pretty far ahead.
Chandra's Pyrohelix is going to take down the Scrounger, though with that Pima Outrider in the graveyard, it is going to be able to come back if Kenji wants it to. In the meantime, the Pillarbug's going to get in for a couple of damage, and Kenji's going to upgrade that damage to lifelink damage.
Yeah, this turn is not maybe as exciting as Kenji had hoped, given he had 6 mana, but he's going to get to use the Scrounger end of turn. I mean, Chandra's Pyrohelix, that was a way to slow Kenji down. It was certainly not an answer.
Right, and you're going to see that Scrap Heap Scrounger come back. In the meantime, Luis building out his board nicely here with the Weaponcraft Enthusiast, giving him a couple of extra power and 3 bodies. And there's that Scrounger again that Kenji's just going to recklessly throw into the red zone here, because any trades with it end up being pretty good for him.
And importantly, though, the Weaponcraft Enthusiast made that Doomed Operative a 3/2 Death Touch, but the second removal spell means that no longer matters.
Right. Die Young ×2 for Kenji Tsumura, taking out 2 different 2 toughness creatures from Luis Gobert. And I can give you an update as well. Bernardo Santos defeated Tori Takashita in their first game. And that means they swept the game 1s, did Portugal.
Yeah,
so
up a game across the board.
Yeah, very nice way to start off a round 1 against a powerhouse team like Japan here. They've given themselves the advantage in all 3 matches to try to take this round. So you can see a big trade-off of creatures here, and it looks like Kenji seems fine. He's got a Doomed Operative to follow up with that Percata Pillarbug. It's going to have Death Touch and +1/+0 as well.
Yeah, this is exactly the kind of situation that Luis Gobert does not want to find himself in. He's playing defensive Spireside Infiltrators, on 4 mana, unable to deploy like his, ambitious Aetherborns in hand, and he's going to, at this point, trade for one of Kenji's creatures and end up in a spot where he's going to have a hard time really utilizing his aggressive cards, and though ambitious Aetherborn can help here.
In the meantime, it sounds like Shota Yasuoka evened things up against Marcio Carvalho, and he's going to force a game 3 on our middle table. In the meantime, these players continue to just trade resources off on board. Operative trading for Infiltrator. We've seen 2 removal spells kill 2 creatures. We've seen the Scrounger get in and trade for a couple of creatures. So things just continually getting cleared away, which seems to benefit Tsumura. as he's the one with things left after the dust has settled, and he keeps getting back this scrounger. No play there from Luis Gobert.
Look at Luis's hand. He's got
what does he have?
2 5-drop ambitious Etherborns, 5-drop tidy conclusion, 6-drop combustible Gear Hulk. The only card he can cast is Welding Sparks, which he's forced to use on the Scrap Heap Scrounger to not die.
Oh, man.
It's just not the situation you want to find yourself
No,
in.
but interestingly, if he does find a land off the top of his library, those ambitious Etherborns actually do go a long way to shoring up this board state as it sits.
Ambitious Etherborn will do a good job of that, but
Yeah.
it's getting to the point where it won't be enough.
Wow, I think if he found a land there, he's actually in reasonable shape. The Etherborn can trade off for the Pillar Bug. It would give him a 1/1 to block the Syndicate Trafficker, but he didn't find it. In fact, he found another one of his bombs, a Marionette Master, but that's certainly not what he wanted to see right there. And Kenji Samura is going to take game 2. So the Japanese team fighting back here, taking both of the game 2s that have finished so far in our feature match area. So we're going to catch game 3 here between Marcio Carvalho and Shota Yasuoka. You can see our cameras moving over to accommodate, and we don't want to miss any of that one. So that's where we're going to go here on our middle table. Also, you'll note if you haven't watched a lot of these team events that there's players sitting next to each of the players on the table to your right. They're in the kind of rolly chairs, the blue one there, and those are coaches. Those are the 4th team members who actually get to help out other team members, even though they're not actively playing this round.
Yeah, it's a very important role. You get to kind of pitch in. You often will assign the coach to the round of kind of the least experienced player, because that's presumably who would benefit the most from coaching, and you get this really cool rolly chair. So there's a lot of benefits.
The rolly chairs are new. All right, so we're underway here, as you can see in game number 3, Marcio Carvalho versus Shota Yasuoka. Our last 2 high-level tournaments featured these 2 gentlemen either in the finals or winning it, depending on which one you watch, the World Championship or Pro Tour Kaladesh.
Well, Grand Prix Rotterdam as well. Marcio took the trophy there.
he won that one just last weekend here with his team. So
Marcio, going for the opportunity to 2 for 2 his Rotterdam events.
Indeed. Long way to go here in the early part of the game, but we'll see what happens. Gets a couple of triggers here from that Reckless Fireweaver after casting a Visionary Augmenter for Shota Yasuoka. He passes a turn back. Marcio is going to use the Scry ability there. Looks like he's digging for lands from his Ether Theorist, and he's found it, hitting that critical 5th land, which we saw. He's got a lot of 5-drops in his deck, but they're all quite strong, and he's going to lead off with a Riparian Tiger here. And he's got his Confiscation Coup again as well.
Oh, yeah. You can really tell that Marcio is leaning hard on energy because the presence of Janjit Sentry, that's not a card you see generally unless you're really going hard on energy.
Okay, but you know what? Shota Yasuoka can fight back with some bombs as well. Now, this is a really interesting decision because if he decides to put the +1/+1 counters on it, it's going to get Confiscation Couped and be pretty bad for him. If he doesn't, it may well also get Confiscation Couped. You can see that that Marcio has 4 energy left over, plus the 4 from the coup itself. He can easily take control of the Angel. It looks like Shota is going to play around that at least a little bit, but it's not going to stop Marcio from just stealing the Angel of Invention. It still has the static effect on the rest of his team, +1/+1 to all his creatures.
Yeah, and Shota did what he could to mitigate that, but Confiscation was just going to be a great card.
Yeah, it's just going to be no matter what. But it's these are the small edges that, Shota would have put the counters on. It could have been a real disaster. Now, at least he gets some benefit from having these servos. This looks like a big attack here from Carvalho. We'll get the life totals updated as soon as we know for Shota. But he took a hit there.
And Shota, with the presence of Reckless Fireweaver, potentially Inspired Charge, I mean, both players have to be thinking about that. Marcio certainly is. All those servos represent a good amount of damage, but Marcio still is going to be ahead here, especially in terms of the size of his creatures. So Shota kind of has to balance, does he want to make this block? One of the reasons he wouldn't have wanted to make any blocks is something like Ornamental Courage, which turns out Marcio actually has a different 1 green mana combat trick, Blossoming Defense, but
a better one.
Yes, in generally much better. And either way, Shota runs the risk of running into it if he gets too aggressive on the multi-blocking.
I'll be honest, Luis, the Reckless Fireweaver, not a card I expected to see very many copies of here in the team sealed portion. Its overall power level is not that high, and you'll see as we work our way through the day here in the early stages that these decks have a very, very high average power level.
So the presence of Reckless Fireweaver and to some extent Eager Construct actually do signal some important pieces of information to Marcio. If Shota's playing those in a team sealed event, then Shota's deck has to be very aggressive, and that would make me more inclined to believe cards like Inspired Charge, because you don't put Reckless Fireweaver in your deck because you know, without having an ulterior motive, and Shota and the Japanese team know that. So Marcio's going to look at that and think like, I should be prepared to, maybe take less damage than I want to, like maybe try and make more blocks than I would otherwise.
Yeah, and I think that might be what we're seeing right here, Luis, because look at the mana from Shota. He's just got this perfect white, red setup for the Inspired Charge, and I bet that Marcio is going to block as if he knew that Shota had an Inspired Charge in his hand right here, and that could lead to less perfect blocks than he might make. Let's see how he actually does it. You can see he's doing the math. He's at 15 here, and he's making sure that the blocks that he does here, he's balancing this fine line, right, between not dying, that you don't want to leave yourself dead to lethal from it.
Not dying is generally good.
Yeah, but then also, on the other end of the spectrum, keeping as much of his board around if there were to be an Inspired Charge.
Right, and the biggest difference there is, do you block with Angel of Invention? Marcio decided not to, even though that did open the door for an Inspired Charge to deal more damage to Shota, which he very, clearly left the mana up for.
Which I don't think he has in his hand, by the way.
No, and he, in fact, may not even have it in his deck.
That's right. It looks like he had one in his pool, but didn't end up main decking it. And you can see what Shota's got going on. He went for a Chandra's Power Helix. Didn't work, though. That Blossoming Defense saved the Angel of Invention and preserved a lot of the power on board for Marcio Carvalho.
Yeah, and by saving Angel, it also meant that finishing off one of Marcio's other creatures did not work, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea of doing one to the Angel and one to a creature that had taken some amount of damage.
He may have pointed it at Marcio, couldn't tell. Shota's might play rapidly from time to time.
A little more energy here for Carvalho. He already had enough to attack with the Tiger and trigger it as well. But this is not looking good for Shota Yasuoka. He's sitting on 2 planes in hand. Makes a bit of a desperation attack last turn that didn't turn out particularly well for him. He's got Marcio down to 9, but doesn't have a great follow-up attack. And Marcio's still able to apply pressure with both the Tiger and the stolen Angel of Invention. So things slipping away from Shota. Wow, he just found Inspired Charge off the top.
So this is a really funny situation where Shota bluffed Inspired Charge. Marcio blocked in a manner that if Shota had Charge, he probably would have cast it. Shota didn't cast Charge, so Marcio's now in like, okay, he didn't have it, and now he draws it.
Wow, this is going to be interesting. Shota in a really interesting position here as well. He's fallen down to 6 life, Luis, and that means that he has to be very careful. He wants to try to threaten lethal with the Charge, hoping that Marcio says, you can't have it, you would have cast it last turn. But if he leaves the door open, then that Tiger can just kill him. I mean, he's at 6. Ooh, this is a really cool ending from 2 very high-level Magic players here, and I'm really curious to see what Shota comes up with for his attack step here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Shota. He needed to have like 2 spells this turn, and one of them being Inspired Charge, and instead he has just the Charge, which Marcio has more than enough creatures to make blocks such that he doesn't die to Inspired Charge and kills Shota on the backswing. Genjit Sentry making it even more of a guarantee just because it can just tap down a potential blocker.
Yeah, Marcio still has 3 energy left. You can see that on the top part of your screen. Genjit Sentry takes 2 energy to tap or untap. And ideally, Marcio would like to untap with 2 energy in his pool, or at least have it at some point for the Tiger. It looks like Shota has passed the turn back to Marcio here, though. He could not find a suitable attack that wouldn't leave him dead. So he's just going to wait. And are we going to see a Whirler Virtuoso? Yeah, we are. Once that Servant in the Conduit gets tapped with no other red mana, that is the most likely thing that you'll see. And sure enough, Whirler Virtuoso. And I think that Marcio is just going to chip away here and try to kill Shota next turn.
We might see the fabled defensive Inspired Charge, which never feel good about doing.
The do what you got to do Inspired Charge. It's just really tough because even if that is successful in that he trades, let's say, 2 of his lesser creatures in Inspired Charge for the Riparian Tiger, then what?
That is not an exciting trade.
Right. Then and then on his next turn, he's going to draw an eager construct or something, and it's just it doesn't come together for actually getting him closer to winning.
I mean, every card Marcio has played this game, and basically last game, was a good energy card.
Yes.
All of his cards add energy. They're all high quality. And, combine all that, and even though Shota played a bunch of great cards this match too, it still is going to end up in a situation where it looks like Marcio's going to come out ahead.
Yeah. It's interesting. When you've played in these team limited events, you always end up with the best deck, the medium deck, and the least good deck out of the three, right? They rarely line up perfectly.
Well, me specifically would get the least good
deck.
That's
actually what I was going to ask you about. You beat me to the punch there. Is, given that Marcio is likely the best player from Portugal, and Shota and or Kenji, how do you divvy those up? I mean, is this a thing where you would expect because it looks like Marcio has the best deck.
Yeah, Marcio's deck looks incredible. Part of it has to do with what each player's playstyle. Marcio may like these blue-green energy type decks more than his teammates, so that's a good reason to give them to him. Part of it is, do you think that the opposing captain is going to play an aggressive deck? Because if you think they're going to play a control deck, then that changes your incentive versus if you think they're going to play an aggressive deck. Though, in my experience, that trend is not a very strong one. You run across, basically every kind of deck in the captain seat. It's not all the captains are just going to play the same kind of deck.
Well, this is over here. Marcio Carvalho just found Hunt the Week after Shota found what looked pretty good, a Fairgrounds Warden to, gobble up the Angel of Invention there and maybe make a situation where if it gets blocked, he can get it back and get the tokens or get things going. But unfortunately for him, it got tapped down by the Janjeet Sentry on end step, and now we're going to see Hunt the Week to take down the only thing that's left. Sorry, it looks like he's decided instead to just play a Wild Wanderer. But either way, at 4 life, Shotiasa Oka is not going to do well. The Wild Wanderer was so that the Bomat Bazaar Barge could get crewed this turn while still preserving all the other attackers. And any two of these creatures getting in are lethal, and he's got multiple to spare. So that does it. Marcio Carvalho wins Game 3 and defeats Shotiasa Oka for his team. So as we work our way towards deciding who's going to win the round, it's the team that wins 2 of their matches first. That's 1 match for Portugal. And what you'll also see is now the players will kind of bounce around too, right? We'll see Marcio, jump in to help.
Yeah, one of the advantages of finishing your match is you get to move over to the other matches your team is still playing. So a phenomenon we're actually going to see over the course of this event is the pace of play of matches is going to get slower as more players finish their matches, because now instead of Kenji playing a match, you may have Kenji and Shota playing a match together. And despite
by the way, that's very frightening.
Yeah, also still very fast, but
yes.
The more people who are weighing in, the kind of the slower and more deliberate matches get as you see Portugal consulting there.
Yeah, so that was Luis Gobern. We're watching Kenji Samura versus Luis Gobern here. This is on our table C, and this is Game 3 between these players, meaning that if Luis can win this game, he will give the round to Portugal. And what a great way to start the tournament. You get paired up against this blockbuster Japanese team, and if you can get by them, you got to feel confident that you're going to do well in the rest of the limited rounds here, as Japan has to be one of the strongest teams in the field, just straight up.
Yeah, you don't want to kick your day off playing against your strongest competition, but if you are going to and you beat them, you do feel accomplished, and it helps your tiebreakers. I mean, presumably Japan has a good record at the end of the day, in a lot of the cases. So
this is going to be really interesting too. You could see Marcio's hand kind of, up in the upper right-hand side of the screen saying, no, that's fine, just let that happen. And there's little games that happen here now, right? Like what happened there was Kenji was tapped out. Luis attacked with his 3/2 Spireside Infiltrator. Kenji said, okay, I'll block. And then they thought about something, and the question is, well, what were they thinking about? Was it to use a combat trick or a removal spell, or was it to bluff, right? And that's the real question here is, the players have to try to read what the other people are doing. Do you have a subtle strike and you just chose not to use it, or you just want me to think that that's the case? In the meantime, Kenji found another Percata Pillar bug here, which doesn't look super great here. But on the other side, Luis Gobern, pretty nice. He's got the Foundry Screecher all charged up and attacking in there after he played that ambitious Aetherborn. Looks like a Malphus squad now for Kenji Samura as the board starts to get a little bit more muddled up.
It's kind of funny because both these decks, I think they're having an aggressive bent, but we've gotten to the stage in the game where both players are actually playing kind of mid-rangey cards.
How about Chandra's Pyro Helix here to just 1-for-1 with the Malphus squad? And unlock some nice attacks.
I would say that's a good play.
You like that play? That was a Luis-approved play.
Look, I mean, you know, the man knows what he's doing. What can I say? And Kenji's also kind of revealed that he's got a land-heavy hand because he played a Pillar Bug on 4, a Malphus Squad on 5. Like that's what happens when you draw those cards off the top there. So if your best play was a Pillar Bug on 4 and a Malphus Squad on 5 because that's what you drew, your hand cannot be very strong. And actually looking at Kenji's hand, it is not as strong as he would hope.
No, and I did have a chance to look at Kenji's deck here on the list, and it's very medium for a Team Seal deck. You have very high expectations. You're not going to see him play bad cards, right? Cards that you just wouldn't be happy with in most scenarios, because in Team Seal, the teams have opened up 12 booster packs for 3 players. And if you've ever done that, you'll know that the average deck quality ends up being quite high. That said, Kenji's deck doesn't really have that big over-the-top punch. Prakata Pillar Bug, solid playable here. He's got a High Spire Artisan, it's fine. He's got a Cultivator's Caravan, good card, right? But none of these are, Confiscation Coup or these cards that completely change how a game plays out that we saw in some of the other matches.
Yeah, and there's going to be a range to sealed pools just like, normally. And sometimes, Kenji's deck looks like the third deck. The third, often in sealed pools, 2 decks jump out at you as being quite strong, and the third deck is like, what can we make with what's left over? And that is what Kenji's deck is screaming out to me right now.
Agreed. You can see he drew a Dai Young off the top of his library here, but he's got a pretty big board to contend with. Now, taking down maybe the Doomed Operative, he has actually stabilized this board in a reasonable way. The High Spire Artisan holding back that Foundry Screecher, precarious, but it's doing its job.
And Cultivator's Caravan is pretty large. I mean, when it does get crewed, it is going to hold off most of what Luis can assemble.
This is the best part, too, when you get to watch, just one of the greats like Kenji Samura just try to find his way, because this is all small edges, right? This is where he doesn't want to make any missteps. If he Dai Young's the wrong creature, it could really come back to punish him, and he is going to go ahead and take care of that Doomed Operative. That was the only thing that had a very good attack here, given the board state. And like you said, the Caravan actually holding back pretty well here, too.
Both players are a little heavy on land. The Oval Chase Daredevil is going to give Luis another attacker, but still not anything that can punch through the Caravan. So yeah, if Kenji's got some good late game cards to draw, now would be the time.
That wasn't it. Right now, his late game card is Forest Swamp. So he is going to have to really kind of batten down the hatches here and hope that he can weather this storm, because Luis Gobern is one removal spell away from being able to really just punch through.
Open at this point.
If he hits Unlicensed Disintegration, there we go. He found himself a Welding Sparks. It does 4 damage on the current board state, and that is enough to take down the High Spire Artisan. It is enough to take down the Pillar Bug if you'd like, and that may well clear the way for a lot of future attacks here. That was all he needed.
And what Marcio and Luis are both worried about right now is if Luis goes for Welding Sparks on the High Spire Artisan, and Kenji has a way to kill the servo token, that tends to backfire pretty heavily.
That's right, and Kenji Samura has yet to have reason currently to fire off like a Tidy Conclusion, for example. He could easily have that card in his hand.
Especially not playing anything on 7 mana.
Yeah, with 3 cards in hand, or maybe he played one of the forests. Yeah, just 2 cards. But in the meantime, Luis Gobern is going to attack with everything, and he is under heavy advice here from Marcio Carvalho, our draft master. He's just solidified himself as one of the best limited players on the Pro Tour.
He just 16-0'd Grand Prix Rotterdam. Actually talked to him, yesterday about it. And
did he really?
Yeah, he did not drop a match.
I bet you wish you could 16-0 a tournament.
You'd have to be really lucky to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
So this attack was also somewhat enticing Kenji to crew that Caravan, and the problem with that is if Kenji does and then Luis has a removal spell, then things go very badly. So Kenji could have had presumably better blocks if he crewed the caravan, but that was much riskier. And by attacking this way, even though the Foundry Screecher got blocked and then the Artisan got killed by Welding Sparks, it still ended up dealing more damage.
And it looks like Kenji Samura dead on board, and that does it. That's Portugal defeating Japan here in round 1 at the World Magic Cup. Unbelievable. That is a huge win for them in the early stages here. I mean, again, when you sat down and you go look at the pairings board, Japan, especially this year with 2 Hall of Famers on it, is not who you want to see. Welcome back to the booth, by the way. That's Luis Scott Vargas and Marshall Sutcliffe. And they just got right through them there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Portugal... They had a very, very good energy deck, and as their kind of their centerpiece, led by Marcio there, and that really was able to kind of run over Shota, despite Shota's deck also looking very good.
Yeah, Shota's deck looks strong, but I think for the most part in this format, from a playstyle perspective, from a power level perspective, from an inevitability perspective, I'd much rather be in the seat of Marcio for that particular matchup, because it takes such a specific curve out for Shota to really punish what Marcio is trying to do. And the truth is that Marcio had a pretty low to the ground energy deck anyway. We didn't see a lot of modules or a lot of not board affecting type cards from him. He was still playing creatures, Riparian Tigers, Servant of the Conduits, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, that's the kind of thing that I think we're going to see a lot of. And I saw a lot of energy decks out there in the field. I think basically every team I went through had some version of a red-green or a red-blue or a blue-red, or a combination of those 3 colors. You just have
all these energy cards, and they need to go somewhere, and all in the same deck is one of the strengths of Team Sealed.
Yeah, it does feel like those are the best decks that we saw as well. Okay, so that's going to do it for round 1. We'll be back after these messages.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the news desk. I'm your host Rich Hagan here at the end of round 1 of the World Magic Cup. Well, it's not quite the end because out on the floor, you see 12 minutes still left in the round. A couple of matches out there. We're going to try and bring you more match action as it happens. Our reporter Brian David Marshall's out on the floor with our cameraman Jack Lipke. So we'll show you some more magic in just a mo. But the results are starting to come in. Colombia underway with a win over Godenis Vidagiris' Lithuanian team. Brazil, Paula Vida Damarosa and Thiago Saporito, they are winners over the Czech Republic. Lucas Blahon captaining them. Tons of results coming in. Just one more to bring you. Italy, the defending champions, underway with a win over Mexico. But as promised, out on the floor is Brian David Marshall. BDM, what are you watching right now?
Thanks, Rich. I actually was watching Denmark play, but they've dispatched their opponents this round. Of course, one of 3 teams with returning World Magic Cup champions on them. The only team with 2, Martin Mueller and Simon Nielsen. Martin, how did this round go for you? Tell me what happened.
Yeah, it did go really well. I didn't even get to finish my match, even though I was in a really strong position. So I think it was a really good round, and I think our deck is great.
All right, Simon, tell me how much value you got out of going to Grand Prix Rotterdam last weekend and getting an opportunity to play this team sealed format under, actual conditions.
Yeah, what we got out of Rotterdam was that we learned a lot from our mistakes, because we did, but neither Miller's team or my team with the rest of the Danish guys made day 2. But we figured out that the format is a lot about, even though you're really aggressive, you can still fall behind very easily. So cards like Build to Smash are worse than they would usually be, because you still need cards to catch up. And so we play like some random 5-drops in my deck just to be able to catch up better.
How did the sort of new faces on Team Denmark acquit themselves so far in this process?
Anders is really committed. He really wants to try to qualify for the Pro Tour, so he is definitely doing his best, and I think he's doing a great job. And Aska as well is also doing a great job.
And then how confident do you guys feel once you get to the Modern round? I'm not asking for any disclosures here, just sort of a 1 to 10 on confidence in the Team Unified Modern format.
Considering that we only slept 2 hours, it might get tough when we get to later rounds. But I think that our decks are really good, which is a good thing. So,
I need a number.
Oh, 1 to 10? Okay, well, 9.
All right. An 11 from Martin Mueller, and he is not one prone to hyperbole normally, so that's pretty exciting. Sending it back to you at the news desk, Rich Hagan.
Thanks, PDM. You certainly can't beat a good bit of hyperbole. So, some more results. New Zealand, they've defeated Uruguay. That's Jason Chung and the team, Matthew Rogers, Zen Takahashi on that squad. New Zealand win. Guatemala, they're underway with a win. They were one of the Cinderella stories last year, making the top 8. Christopher Virula and the team, he's back again as captain. They defeated Malta. Luke Vassallo, the captain there. He was on the team again last year. Now, how about this for a little local regional clash? That's part of the joy of the World Magic Cup. You've got Chinese Taipei up against Hong Kong. It was Chinese Taipei that won that. That's Huang Haoshan, the captain for them from MTG Mint Card, against a teammate from regular Pro Tours. They would have tested together, Li Shi-chan, of course, the captain of Hong Kong. But Hong Kong lose that. Chinese Taipei go to 1-0. Estonia lose their first round to Ecuador, so well done Ecuador. They're underway 1-0. Switzerland is 1-0. And another S team is Sweden, the captain of whom is Jo Larsson. He's out on the floor right now with Brian David Marshall.
Thanks, Rich. I'm here with Jo Larsson, Team Sweden. Jo, how many times have you played in this tournament?
This new system 4 times, 1 in the old system as well. So this will be my 5th time.
Wow.
Yep.
How does this tournament feel different than playing in a Pro Tour or even something like the World Championship?
Almost in every way. I mean, it's a team event, which is awesome, obviously. You get to play with a ton of friends, which is great. Winning as a team, as many people say, is way funner winning alone. So it's great. I think it's great.
What are you looking for in terms of, you're improving on your best finish at the Team World Magic Cup this week?
We certainly want to make top 8. I think our team is great. We have great communication between us because we all know each other, and we have a lot of fun together. So I think that will hopefully take us a long way.
Now, we've seen a lot of great new faces on the European Magic scene over the last couple of years. Any aspirations from this crop that you're working with at the World Magic Cup?
I mean, you never know. I'm not going to talk him down. They're not too shabby. I mean, there might be something if they really want to. All of them spend a lot of time doing other stuff as well. So it's more about diverging time. I think they're all smart people, so they could probably get there if they really wanted to. Yeah.
When we talked before this event, you actually said this is a team you would have happily hand-rolled for yourself.
In the dark. Oh, yeah. In the dark, I would have taken it in a second. Oh, yeah.
Why is the element of camaraderie so important to you in a team event?
Because I think when you all know each other, you know how to listen to the other persons. You know when they're serious, you know when they're sure they're right, everything like that. You trust each other, etc., etc. So it just works way better. Yeah, way more fun when you test, which makes that becomes more efficient. Like everything goes way smoother. So.
Doesn't feel like a chore.
Exactly.
All right. Never a chore talking to Joel Larson. He's got that new car smell on his jacket. I'm sending it back to Rich Hagon at the news desk.
Thanks very much to BDM. More matches going on, and we'll get you to some match play in just a little bit. So, of course, Jo Larsson, captain of Sweden. Sweden have won their first round. So have Team Canada. That's Jacob Wilson, Alexander Hayne, Felix Shea, and Brian Sue. They're underway with a win. Canada, not a great record at the World Magic Cup, despite some fantastic teams. Hayne's been on, I think, 3 or 4 of them by now here at the 5th ever World Magic Cup, dating back to 2012 in Indianapolis, the famous Chinese Taipei Bonfire of the Damned. Propelled them towards their victory. So who else is winning? Well, Switzerland is winning. Andreas Gantz over Alexander Semkin's Russian Federation team. Indonesia is underway with a win. Christian Wijaya, the captain there, over Ukraine. You know, of course, our feature match was Portugal against Japan. If you missed it, well, you can go back on Twitch, our official English language partner, and take a look at that. Wales are winners over Peru. They were on table 37, the 73rd alphabetical team. Well, they're certainly not last now because they have won their first round. Also, Bulgaria, they defeat England. Eduardo Sajkalik's team go down in the first round. The Philippines, that's Mike Rohn, Pro Tour champion from Geneva in 2007, and Latvia underway with a win over Bolivia. So David Sologurin with a loss, Andres Prost with a win in that one. So round about 5 minutes left in the round, and as we say, matches still going out on the floor. For those of you just joining us and wanting to know how this works, 3 rounds of Team Sealed, then 4 rounds of Unified Modern. But right now, there's still magic going on in round 1. BDM, what are you watching?
Thanks, Rich. I am watching a match. It's the last match in the round for the Netherlands and Team Malaysia. Timon Blancavoort is playing the green-black deck, and Shun Ku is playing green-red. And they are going to just check on the game score. Is this game? It's 1-1. This is game 3. And looking at the life pads, it is a very narrow margin here. It is 4-7. There is and there's some shenanigans going on Shun Ku's side of the table.
Career pro points in last year. One of the WMCQ winners go, if you like.
Here you see him go up to 8 energy with his fabrication module. He's put the getting a creature in front of the 4/4 Armorcraft Judge. Wow. Takes his opponent down to 1, pays 8 energy. Uses the ability to do 6 to his opponent by paying 8 energy.
Yeah, it's not often
with
you
the
see
Aether Torch Renegade.
Yeah, it's not often you see that actually go the distance, BDM. Nice to see that on camera.
Meanwhile, we have a Cultivator of Blades and 2 servos, I believe. And that fabrication module. There are 2 +1/+1 counters on the Cultivator of Blades. So when that attacks, It's giving, it can give all his creatures a +3/+3/+3 bonus. All the other attacking creatures.
The thing is, Malaysia really want to get this one done, BDM, because that Avia Pashiri, left unchallenged, is of course going to take away the game long term. But is there going to be a long term? No, there isn't.
And there's the hand. Team Malaysia gets the round here against the hometown heroes, Team Netherlands, here in Rotterdam. Sending it back to you at the desk, Rich.
Thanks very much to Brian David Marshall out on the floor there. A little bit of bonus action at the back end of the round. The Netherlands against Malaysia for you. Well, the thing is, BDM's been in Rotterdam for quite a while, and we like to keep him busy because he gets into trouble otherwise. And this week, those of you familiar with his work at the Pro Tours know that he often gets into one of the big pro team testing houses, and he meets 10, 15, in the case of East West Bowl, the best part of 22 players, all living together under one or two roofs, testing before the Pro Tour. Well, this week, probably the best part of half the world of Magic has been here since the Grand Prix, and that means there's been a whole bunch of testing houses springing up around Rotterdam and the rest of the Netherlands. Well, BDM's not quite visited all of them, but he certainly had a very good go. So why don't we meet some of the returning champions at this year's World Magic Cup?
Brian David Marshall coming to you here from the Netherlands, and we've been to the Netherlands multiple times for Magic Premier level play, most recently Amsterdam in 2013, but this is the first time we're coming to the city of Rotterdam, a beautiful city known for its diverse architecture, none more iconic than the Markt Hall building you see behind me. Teams from 73 Magic-playing nations are descended on Rotterdam, and they're going to be coming to the Markt Hall to get themselves some coffee, some olives, some cured meats, and of course some stroopwafel to fuel up for the World Magic Cup, looking to become the next champion. This is the 5th year of the tournament, and 4 different nations have won. We haven't had a repeat champion yet. We're going to catch up with 3 of the teams that have returning members from their championship run and see if they can become the first team to repeat at the World Magic Cup. Let's go see what they have to say.
I'm Gucci. I'm from Italy. This year I'm the captain of Italy, actually the reigning champion. Last year though I was not the captain. Captain was Marco Camilluzzi, but we as a team got the cup, and this year we try to do the same. Members are Mattia Rizzi, won the first WCQ. He's a gold level pro. He's a pretty consistent guy on the GP level, on the PT level. He's a very, very solid guy. So I think I'm very happy with him. He has a very funny personality. For example, in testing, we always laugh, we always do cool stuff. So I think he's a very cool addition to the team. Then the second World Magic Cup winner is Alessandro Casamenti. He's pretty unknown on the Pro Tour scene. He got a 2 very solid results after his WCQ win. He went to top 16 in GPs. He lives 1 hour far from me, and basically I live in the nowhere. So he's the closest to me of the team. I knew him before, and I'm very happy with him as well. And the last one is Alessandro Portaro. He's one of the best Italian Magic player of all time. He's one of the very few people who top-8 the PT in Philadelphia 2011, along with the Strati, who eventually won the whole tournament. And he's consistently been on the Pro Tour, on the GP top tables, and etc. This is actually his 3rd time on the World Magic Cup team. So let's see if this time we can he can do something better than last time. Hopefully so.
First of all, there's Simon Nielsen, who also was on the team when we won in 2014. The guy that top-decked the Dane Blast to win the whole thing, played the last match. And he's really hardworking, really committed. He's really putting a lot of work, a lot of hours into Magic and preparing for events. So it's always good to have on a team.
Okay, so my name is Simon Nielsen. I am a gold level Magic Pro. I have some results. Like my most impressive one was that I was part of the Danish World Magic Cup team when we won the event in 2014. Somebody might know me as the Dane Blast guy. That's at least what all the Greek players know me as. And I qualified for this tournament by winning in a double BMCQ, which was like, this is the tournament that I've been looking forward to the most. It was really important for me. I would easily trade a Pro Tour invite for a World Magic Cup invite if I could. So yeah, I was super happy about that. I won against Martin Dang in finals. Yeah, this is just the best tournament I ever played in. So for this year, for the World Magic Cup, like we won 2 years ago. Last year we made the top 8 with a super impressive Danish team. So now we have a team where it's we don't have all the all-star Danish players, but still a solid lineup. And it's kind of like the pressure's on us now because like we made it 2 times in a row, and it's like Denmark is really carving out a name for themselves in the Great Wide World Magic scene. So I think that it's like, I don't know what to do if we don't like top 16. I can't really imagine that, and I'm really like expecting a top 8 out of this one as well. Just like keep the train rolling. It's a lot of pressure on our shoulders, but we have like me and Miller to like carry it with the repeat part of the team. So
then there's Anders Godfredsen, who is he's really trying to qualify for the Pro Tour and move up. So I definitely expect him to like be committed and really gonna work hard and do his best. And I expect him to be a really good player in the future.
Like we know that all of us still like we live in the same city, and we're gonna spend this week together to prepare for the tournament. So like we're gonna know each other very well. I also played with Anders and Asger for the GP, just like to just practice our cooperations, because I just like think this event is so important.
I'm Raphael Levy. I'm 35 years old from Toulouse, France. Magic the Gathering Portugal Hall of Fame. I've been playing Magic for about 20-something years, and I'm here in Rotterdam to play the World Magic Cup. So this team is a little different from last time. Jeremy Desani made it. He won the qualifier in Toulouse, my hometown, when I lost in the semi-finals when I wasn't sure I would actually be in. So he won. That was an extra motivation for me to actually qualify, because we've been playing together for the last 2 or 3 years, and we've been playing team tournaments together, so we know what the decks we like. Last week we played the team GP in Rotterdam, and we lost in the semi-finals, so that was a pretty good preparation for the limited part. The 2 other players, Guillaume Perbet and Kevin Sauvageon, they're also pretty experienced players. I think Guillaume played a couple of PTs, Kevin played the World Magic Cup 2 years ago with Jeremy. So some players with experience, something I like. I don't like to come to a tournament with teammates that don't really know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. We have good limited preparation. We're gonna have good modern decks. So I think it's all up to us now.